Here we go. More exclusive content and resources for you, the FAIA members. We hear many of you, especially the smaller agencies, say to us, do I really have, compliance concerns? We're just a small agency. Today, Nate Ginter, our CTO and my business partner, will answer that question, and you might be surprised by what he says.
Whether you have an insurance agency with 100 employees or you have an insurance agency that's just you as a sole prop running it, you have the exact same areas of concern and the same regulations apply to both of you. The difference is in how some of the specifics of that are handled. So they don't expect you to have necessarily the same security procedures as a company of 5 that a company of 500 has, but the same areas of control are still important. And what that means in sort of more plain English is that if I own a fleet of cars, I still have to have insurance on all those cars. Now, is my plan going to be a little bit different? How I handle that and administrate that, is that going to be a little different than if I'm just driving around in my own vehicle? Yep, that's true, but we still both have to have car insurance. So what that's also going to translate to for the agency owners is that there are certain things that absolutely have to be done from a security perspective to maintain compliance with state standards, whether you're in Florida or you're in New York. There's data protection laws in both where you're required to do certain things. There's a number of different legal standards depending on what types of insurance you're handling. Some people have heard of HIPAA, Sarbanes-Oxley, some of these other standards that are out there, but most of them do apply to agencies that are writing, different lines of insurance. So anytime you've got non-public information that you're taking from people, this could be anything from basic medical questionnaires, financial information, even, income levels, number of employees, types of employees. People don't think of some of those as actual, different types of information that fall under a different category, perhaps, or something, I write, general lines. So, maybe on a different guy, I might only, have his general income level and, his name and address. That's actually protected information that actually has federal protections against it. So with those types of concerns, there's general standards that are out there for IT. And, the IAB and the ACT Council put out some guidance for, specific things that you can do. They have, written security program guidelines that they recommend. So basically everything starts off with a written security program saying, here's the things that we need to do as a company, and then here's how we're accomplishing those things. If you don't have that, when I am a certified cybersecurity auditor through ISACA, so when I go into a place, the first thing I ask, even before I even take on an audit, I'll ask them, do you guys have a written information security program? If the answer is no, then we haven't done the first step. It doesn't matter what you're doing. If you don't have it written down to hand over in the event that there's an issue, it doesn't matter. Yeah, you're not doing it. And quite frankly, if you don't have it written down, the likelihood that any of those provisions of, even something simple like, we update our computers on a monthly basis, and here's the person who does it, and here's the people who check it, and this is the reporting that we get. I know you're not following in this process. It becomes very apparent. And the risk there is that, much like, the car insurance model between a fleet and then you driving your own individual car, whether one of your people hits something or you hit somebody, you may never get into an accident. That's true. You may never have a breach. You may never have something, that actually ends up affecting your business. But the likelihood is that it will happen at some point in some way. And you don't want to be that guy who was driving without insurance and no license. You've turned what is already a problem into a disaster. And that's something that you don't want to do for sure. You want to research not just IT, because people confuse those functions between, my IT guy handles my security. No, he doesn't, actually. Your IT guy has no liability for your actual security practices and your compliance policies whatsoever. You as the owner of an agency and any C-level board members are the ones that actually have the regulatory compliance burden to make sure that they typically call it like an annual board review of security that's being conducted. That's something that's a requirement from just about every standard that's out there. that has nothing to do with your IT guy. That's all internal. When there is a data breach issue, if you haven't contractually stipulated a number of items and also proven that you're doing internal reviews, somebody at your company that knows a little bit or has been trained, by somebody like myself on what their cybersecurity responsibilities are, you can point your finger at Microsoft or your security guy all day long. They're going to come after the internal owners of the company and the board members who have those delineated responsibilities and a number of laws, statutes, and best practices, requirements, those sorts of things that if you can't show they're being met, they're not going to care whose fault it was. It's ultimately your fault because you should have been wrangling those people better. So as uncomfortable as that sounds, it is the actual, fact of the matter. And, I always invite people, especially if you're, in a smaller agency, you don't have a ton of experience with that, reach out to, people like the FAIA, reach out to your resources at the IAB, the ACT Council, and look to them for some guidance on how do I get started? Listen, I don't know what I don't know. What should I be looking for? Or, hey, you can always reach out to us at vineit.com and we'll be happy to help you out.